On the 14th of March 2026, something extraordinary happened. 4 hours ago, the LIGO-Virgo-Cagra gravitational wave network, 3 independent interferometers spread across 2 continents, simultaneously triggered an event, one that defies any existing classification. The engineers at the network were baffled. This wasn't the usual black hole merger or neutron star collision. The coordinates of this event pointed to one object and one object alone. What followed in the next 2 minutes is something that has not been publicly released, but what the James Webb Space Telescope captured was unsettling. At precisely 8:14 UTC, the event known as 3 Atlas punctured a hole in space, and the void it left behind is now growing. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly does a void mean at the physics level? It's not a shadow or an optical illusion, nor is it just a dark spot in space. A void, as defined by the scientific community, is a region where the vacuum expectation value has collapsed. Essentially, the quantum ground state energy of empty space has dropped to absolute zero, which goes against everything we know about physics. In quantum mechanics, empty space is never truly empty. It's filled with fleeting virtual particle pairs, constantly appearing and disappearing, borrowing energy from the vacuum before annihilating. This is not just theoretical. This phenomenon is what allows the Casimir effect to exist, where 2 uncharged metal plates in a near-perfect vacuum experience an attractive force because of this underlying quantum energy. The vacuum is a seething, dynamic substrate, the foundation of physical reality itself. So, when the Green Bang telescope pointed at the coordinates of 3 Atlas at 5:45 UTC and measured the cosmic microwave background, it was expecting to detect the afterglow of the Big Bang, a constant presence in every cubic centimeter of the observable universe. Instead, the reading returned an absolute mathematical zero, no signal, no afterglow. This wasn't a malfunction of the instrument. The readings were verified by multiple systems. The results were identical across 3 independent methodologies. In short, a 4,000-kilometer wide region of space, the very fabric of the vacuum had been removed. This required something extraordinary: negative energy, or matter with negative mass. This type of energy pushes against the vacuum rather than curving it inward as we normally observe. While negative energy has appeared in theoretical physics for decades, it had never been observed on such a macroscopic scale. The energy required to stabilize even a small warp bubble, which is a theoretical solution to faster-than-light travel, is equivalent to the entire mass of Jupiter, but that's just the beginning. At 7:30 UTC, 3 Atlas decelerated, and not just by a little Doppler radar at the Goldstone facility, registered a velocity drop of 12 kilometers per second in less than a time frame that the instrument could even resolve. No collision, no debris cloud, no outgassing event. The kinetic energy lost was staggering, equivalent to 500 megatons of TNT. Yet, it didn't appear as heat or radiation. Instead, it was absorbed and redirected, channeled back toward the coordinates where the void had opened just 44 minutes earlier. This wasn't a random event. It seems 3 Atlas actively fed the void, using the energy it had accumulated over its million-year interstellar journey to collapse the vacuum at a specific point in space. At 8:14 UTC, the LIGO network detected something it had never encountered before: a waveform that didn't match anything in its catalog. What it captured wasn't the familiar chirp of merging compact objects. No, this was a standing wave, a localized rupture in the fabric of space-time that didn't propagate outward. Instead, it remained fixed in place, a puncture in the universe's very fabric. Just 2 minutes after the LIGO trigger, Gaia, another of NASA's deep space instruments, registered an unusual gravitational force emanating from the coordinates of 3 Atlas. This force was detected across 240 million kilometers, arriving instantly with no measurable delay, far faster than the speed of light. Now, this isn't a small anomaly. At 8:45 UTC, 3 Atlas stopped its tumbling motion. It locked its rotation axis with incredible precision, aligning itself to within 0.002 degrees of the geometric center of the void. This kind of precision isn't something a passive object like a rock could achieve. An inert object doesn't stop its own spin or aim itself with such exactitude. This wasn't a random alignment. It was as if 3 Atlas had been actively guided. The void, it turns out, was not some passive phenomenon. It was an engine. And then, at 9 UTC, something even stranger happened. Instruments detected something emanating from inside the void, a region where no signals should be able to exist. The Spitzer Space Telescope, operating in the infrared spectrum, picked up a faint emission coming from within the void. This wasn't regular light or thermal radiation from a heated object. No, the spectral signature of this emission matched something entirely different: Hawking radiation. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Hawking radiation is the theoretical quantum emission expected to occur near the event horizon of black holes, where virtual particle pairs form and one particle escapes while the other is captured by the black hole. In the history of observational astrophysics, no one has ever detected this radiation directly until now. And here's the kicker: the radiation coming from the void was the opposite of Hawking radiation. It was not being sucked in, as it would be at a black hole, but rather emitted outward. This points to something completely different, something never observed before in nature: a white hole. White holes, theoretical entities in the mathematics of general relativity, are essentially the opposite of black holes. They expel matter and energy instead of pulling them in. A white hole doesn't attract anything, it only expels. Imagine a faucet pouring out energy from somewhere else. This discovery is groundbreaking, but even more perplexing was what followed. At 9:15 UTC, the radiation levels from the void began to spike. The void, it seemed, was pulsing. And then, at 9:42 UTC, the Deep Space Network detected something that violated every known framework of classical mechanics. The void, instead of remaining tethered to 3 Atlas, began to accelerate independently. It wasn't being dragged along by the object, it was pulling the object along behind it. This wasn't some passive hole in space. The void's sudden acceleration defies everything we know about the cosmos. The velocity at which it moved, 40,000 kilometers in under 3 seconds, exceeded the solar system's escape velocity. And it didn't stop there. This void was no longer just a tear in space, it was an active engine propelling 3 Atlas through the vacuum. This type of acceleration mirrors the characteristics of a warp bubble, a theoretical construct outlined by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. The Alcubierre metric, published in 1994, demonstrates how space itself can be contracted in front of a spacecraft and expanded behind it, allowing the craft to travel faster than light without violating the laws of physics. This idea is grounded in negative energy, and what we're witnessing is the manifestation of this very phenomenon in real time. At this point, the data is becoming impossible to ignore. The void, which was once a passive anomaly, is now behaving as an active force. Its movement, its ability to manipulate the surrounding space-time, is in direct alignment with the characteristics of a warp bubble. This is no longer just a strange occurrence in space. It's a demonstration of technology far beyond our own. What followed next confirmed the extraordinary nature of this event. The void, now fully operational, accelerated 3 Atlas in ways we couldn't have imagined. It moved independently of the object itself, just as the Alcubierre bubble would. This shift in the void's position was not only remarkable for its speed but also for its direction. The trajectory of the void was now aimed directly at the ecliptic plane, the very plane where Earth and the other planets of our solar system orbit. This alignment wasn't by chance. The trajectory vector, confirmed by several telescopes, showed that the void wasn't just randomly moving through space. It was actively aiming itself at a specific target. And this target? Earth. The implications were staggering. A tear in space-time, an active engine of unimaginable power, was now headed directly toward us. This wasn't the random passage of an interstellar object. This was something far more deliberate. And it gets even stranger. The Deep Space Network began picking up a signal originating from inside the void, a structured, repeating signal, not just random noise. This was a carrier wave, a sequence of prime numbers transmitted at 1,420 MHz, the hydrogen line. For those familiar with the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, this frequency is the one used to search for potential signals from intelligent civilizations. It is considered the universal marker for communication between civilizations that have advanced enough to understand atomic physics. For 65 years, we've been listening to the hydrogen line, and nothing coherent has ever come through. Until now. The signal is growing stronger with each cycle. The density of the information is increasing. Whatever is sending this signal is actively increasing the resolution of what it's transmitting, and it's not just any signal. The sequence of prime numbers is a clear indication of intelligent design. Now, let's shift gears a bit and look at the broader picture. What does all of this mean? To understand the scale of what's happening, we need to consider the Kardashev scale, a framework used to measure the energy capabilities of a civilization. A Type 1 civilization controls the energy of its home planet. A Type 2 civilization harnesses the power of its star. A Type 3 civilization commands the energy of an entire galaxy. Humanity is currently sitting at around 0.73 on this scale. We are pre-Type I. The energy required to collapse the vacuum at the scale we're seeing, to destabilize space-time, and to create a traversable warp bubble, all of these feats push the boundaries of what any civilization on our current scale could achieve. The energy required to manipulate space-time, generate negative energy, and alter the very fabric of the vacuum, as we're witnessing here, is on a scale that transcends human capability. The mathematical framework that describes this event doesn't belong to a Type 1 civilization. It doesn't belong to a Type 2 civilization either. The energy requirements we're observing are approaching the scale of a Type 3 civilization, one that can control energy on a galactic scale. This isn't something we could hope to achieve with our current technology. This is the work of a civilization that has mastered the manipulation of the fundamental forces of nature, one that treats the very fabric of space-time like a construction material. What we are witnessing here goes far beyond the limits of our understanding. The technology required to manipulate negative energy on such a grand scale to control the very geometry of space-time itself is something we can only theorize about. And yet, here it is, unfolding before our eyes. The implications of this are staggering. This isn't just about the possibility of encountering extraterrestrial life, it's about encountering a civilization so advanced that the laws of physics, as we know them, no longer apply. A civilization that has solved the equations that we are still struggling to understand, and now we are face to face with the undeniable reality that this civilization has targeted our solar system. The signal, the void, and the deliberate targeting of Earth all point to one terrifying and exhilarating conclusion: we are not alone in the universe, and the civilization behind this technology is not some distant, unknowable presence. It is here, and it is making its presence known. As we continue to analyze the data, one thing becomes clear. This event is beyond anything we've ever observed. 3 Atlas didn't just stumble upon Earth, it actively targeted it. The energy requirements to collapse the vacuum, generate negative energy, and stabilize a warp bubble at such a scale are well beyond what we, as a species, are capable of. This is the work of a civilization operating on a scale far beyond ours. The more we analyze the data, the more the picture becomes clear. 3 Atlas didn't just enter the solar system on a random trajectory, it was deliberate. It decelerated in a manner that suggests it was using its energy to manipulate the very fabric of space. It locked its rotation axis with precision, aligning itself with the geometric center of the void. It generated white hole radiation, an emission never before detected in nature, and now the void is expanding. It's aiming directly at Earth, and the signal is intensifying. The carrier wave is becoming clearer with each cycle, transmitting in a way that suggests it's coming from a highly advanced civilization, one that has mastered the control of energy on a scale we can only dream of. The question now isn't just whether we are alone in the universe. The real question is, are we ready for the answer? Because the answer is coming, the transmission is ongoing, the void is still growing, and whatever is behind it is clearly focused on us. This isn't just a flyby of an interstellar object. This is something far more intentional. The gate is open, and the transmission continues. The void, a tier in space-time itself, is expanding toward us, and as it does, the signal grows clearer and more structured. Whatever is sending this signal, whatever is on the other side of this gate, is coming with purpose. We are witnessing history unfold in real time. And so, for the first time in the history of our species, we must face the reality that we may not be alone in the universe. This event challenges everything we know about physics, about space, and about our place in the cosmos. It's no longer just a question of discovery. It's a question of survival, of preparation, and of understanding just what kind of forces we are dealing with. This has been Atlas Oracle. The transmission ends here, but the gate does not. The universe is speaking to us, and the question is, will we be ready to listen? If this mind-bending discovery has left you wondering about the future of humanity and the mysteries of the universe, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is really happening out there? We'll continue to explore the unknown together.